Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Smart City Kids Admissions Workshop. My name is Roxana Reid, and I am one of the K-12 consultants at Smart City Kids. I'm also the founder of Smart City Kids and Smart City Tutors. We so appreciate that you took the time out of your very busy schedule to be with us this afternoon. We hope that you find this session extremely helpful and that it proves to be informative. I want to share with you a little bit about our company and then turn it over so that our esteemed panelists can give you a little insight into who they are and the schools that they represent. Smart City Kids was founded over 25 years ago, and more formally, a little over 24 years ago. It is a leading consulting firm in New York City. It has created the blueprint, essentially, for what student-centered admissions consulting practice model would look like in New York. And we're really proud of that. We're proud that through our efforts, we've guided families from the nursery school admissions process all the way through college admissions, from boarding school, public school, private special education programs. And we have one guiding principle in mind, and that is that we want students to self-actualize and to meet their academic potential wherever they may lie in the developmental continuum. And because we have so many wonderful schools, we think of it as a privilege to be able to find the right match for that student, that family, as they center around their values in that school. And we think these partnerships matter when families look inward and think about what's important to them and how they prioritize that as they go out into the world to find a really great school. And we love that we're always a part of that conversation. One more key feature about our firm is that all of our consultants were former colleagues of our panelists, which we really are proud of. They have all been in the seat of being former admissions directors themselves, which gives them a unique lens into the characteristic of understanding of the work that it takes to understand admissions. And every one of these guys could attest to how challenging and rewarding it all is, but it's a labor of love. I also want to thank a lot of our partners that support Smart City Kids and have supported us over the last 25 years. Starting with NYU, who we've been in partnership with for over 24 years, helping all of their faculty and staff and key administrators land in schools throughout New York City. Memorial Sloan Kettering, who we've been in partnership with for over 20 years. Our newest partner, New York Presbyterian Hospital, and the many, over 34 different schools who have hired us in some capacity to do admissions placement work, from nursery school to middle school to high school admissions placement. We're incredibly proud of that we're the only consulting firm that has been hired by independent schools in New York City to support them through that mission because of their understanding of what we do. Along with over 56 now corporations, from BlackRock to Skadden Arps to JP Morgan Chase to Citigroup to Goldman Sachs, all of whom have partnered with us to help them and their employees understand admissions in New York City. I also want to thank my team for helping to organize this workshop. I want to start with Adriana Payne, who I absolutely love and adore for putting this together, along with Angela Zhang and Sunit and Tessa. I want to now turn this over to our panelists.
Hi. I'm Rachel. I'm the Director of Admissions, Enrollment Management and Financial Aid at Sacred Heart or Convent of the Sacred Heart. We are a single-gender school on the Upper East Side for female-identifying students. We start at 3 years old and right through to 12th grade. Right now we have about 750 students at our location on 91st Street. We also have a really big athletic centre down the street on 91st Street and 1st Avenue that has an Olympic-sized swimming pool, 2 gyms, and wonderful facilities. Sacred Heart is an independent school first and foremost, and we also identify as a Catholic school, so we deliver a mission-based education to our girls. That means in everything that we do, our mission is woven through, and our mission is grounded by 5 goals, and these 5 goals are goals that we ask parents to consider as part of their value set, and would they like their child to be exposed to these kinds of values at home and in their education. Part of what we offer in middle school, which starts in 5th grade at Sacred Heart, are foundational skill classes in 5th and 6th grade. They're our main entry points. In 9th grade, we also start out with foundational courses so that you can unearth your passion and nurture that passion as you move through your high school years. The other part that is really unique about Sacred Heart is that we want you to have some kind of network and travel experience as part of your high school journey with us. We're part of a network of schools, of 159 schools around the world, and we make use of that network so that you can go and visit. So if your language is proficient enough in French or Spanish, you can spend a full semester at our Sacred Heart schools in France or Spain. And if you don't have a language component, you can choose from 14 countries to do a cultural exchange. We also want you to have a network experience, which is to experience service. And a service is a very big component of what we do as part of our middle and high school journey. And we want you to consider where your passions lie and how you can be in service of others and go out into the world and actually actualize those things. So those pieces are pieces that make us unique. We welcome a visit from you. We have open houses and many events throughout the year, and we look forward to seeing you. I'm going to hand it to Camilla G.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Roxana, and your team for having us here today. I just want to say the work that you do is very important for all of us here, but particularly for all the people you mentioned who you support. So I'm representing Grace Church School. I'm the Director of Admissions JK through 12. We are in downtown Manhattan. We have 2 campuses, one 4th Avenue and 10th Street and one on Cooper Square. Beautiful day out here right now. I think what you'll hear as I was listening to Rachel, I was like, wow, I want to go there. That sounds just fantastic. And I think you'll hear that from all of us here. And I think you'll hear a lot of familiar themes going on. So we are an Episcopal school founded in 1894. We presently have about 841 students enrolled JK through 12. So that's 4-year-olds through seniors. Our 2 points of entry, main points of entry, are kindergarten 6 and 9. The middle school has been growing over the years and continues to grow. As an Episcopal school, our mission, I think all of us will have these very detailed missions. And again, there'll be many familiar themes. And we support our students and our families together and value that partnership from your 4-year-old through your senior, through when you graduate. We've been in the process of interviewing our seniors for senior exit interviews. And it is remarkable as they're leaving to hear how our mission has embodied everything that they've done and what it comes across fully and absolutely clearly from each and every one of them is how they felt this deep sense of community and the sense of belonging here. And there are these words that we have parsed out for a long time in our mission statement, but they run true to each and every student that we've been interviewing: skills of intellectual excellence and habits of ethical virtue. A lot to be said, but in everything that we're doing, we are trying to make sure you're getting the most wonderful education on top of having these habits of ethical virtue. So you can want to do the most you would do in your academic classroom, but we want you to do that while supporting other people while you're doing that. We have a full range of academic opportunities, including international travel, including advanced topics classes, including a vast internship program. I was looking at the list just this morning. I was astounded by the things that our students will be doing: research labs, architectural internships, museums, other cultural opportunities as well. I feel like I could go on forever. I don't want to take too much time, but I highly recommend that all of you come visit. That is the best way to learn about our schools and who we are. Speak with students, speak with parents, speak with the teachers, and of course with our folks in the admissions office. I wish you all well in your journey, and don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. Thank you. I've turned to Sheila, one of 2 Sheilas from the Hackley School.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you. I think what you'll find today is that so many of our schools have so many amazing opportunities for students. And certainly the Hackley School where I work is no different. If you don't know us well already, we are a K-12 co-ed school. We're located in 285 acres in Tarrytown, New York, which is in Westchester. But we draw 860 students from over 120 zip codes. That's including, of course, parts of Westchester, but boroughs of New York City, Southern Connecticut, Northern New Jersey. So really kids come all around to come to our campus. We have entry points at kindergarten, 2nd grade, which is a little unique, 6th grade and 9th, although we do accept applications to other grades as well. And we have a small but mighty 5-day boarding program. So most of our students are here as day students, but our 5-day boarders arrive on Sunday and stay through Friday. As a school, we have a focus on building connections. So for us, that means strong connections across our diverse student body, between students and their dedicated teachers. It also means helping students build connections across the curriculum, between one grade and the next, and between what they're learning at Hackley and what they can do out in the world beyond. Our campus is centered with our K-12 academic buildings all together, even though we have 285 acres. And then they're anchored on either side with our brand new Center for the Creative Arts and Technology and our Johnson Center for Health and Wellness, which is our athletic center. All around, I think it really has to be seen to be believed. I'm sure that many of us, as we go into summer break now, will be telling you to come see us in the fall, and certainly Hackley is no different. We have an amazing open house, and if you sign up on our website, we'll be sure to remind you about when that happens. We also have several virtual events, and we have tours on campus that are student-led for applicants as well. So lots of opportunities to get to know us, and I think it's well worth the trip for you to come and check us out. So I'm going to now pass the virtual mic to Jason at Horace Mann.
Thank you so much, Sheila, and thank you so much, Roxana, for having me, and it's a privilege to be on such a great panel. My name is Jason Caldwell. I'm the Director of Admissions at Horace Mann. In addition to being the Director of Admissions, I'm also a Horace Mann alum. I went to middle school and high school at Horace Mann, as did my brother. Both my girls attend the school. They entered in kindergarten. My oldest is in a rising 10th grader. That's crazy to say. And my youngest is going into the 5th grade. When I think about Horace Mann, I think about a couple of different things. Yes, first you do think about the academics, the rigorous academic opportunities that we offer at Horace Mann that you can find that it's one of the more challenging institutions in the tri-state area. However, what I also think about is the resources that we have. So just using the upper division as an example, you're talking about 93 different clubs, 61 different sports teams, varsity, junior varsity, boys, girls, co-ed, 27 different publications, including a podcast or two. You're talking about a dean staff that's amazing. We have our CCVA, our Center for Community Values and Action, which is the cornerstone of service learning here in the Bronx. And that's something that's important. We love the fact that we are in the Bronx. We have an amazing campus. It's right down the street from Jenna. Horace Mann's campus, the middle and upper division campus, is pretty expansive, about 8, 9 buildings on campus. You walk down the street, you have the lower division campus. You go to East 90th Street, you have the nursery division. And then in Washington Depot, Connecticut, you have our outdoor nature laboratory, the John Doerr Nature Lab, where students get a chance to do nature, ecological work, and we have our orientations there as well. The other thing that I think about, and this is the most important thing, because I always joke around, you can have a great school, but if that school's community is not vibrant, if it's not inclusive, if it is not active, why are you going there? When I think about Horace Mann, I do think about the community. I think about a down-to-earth community where families really love being together. 29 people that graduated from Horace Mann were at my wedding. 5 of them were in the wedding party. The friends that you make at Horace Mann are friends you're going to have for the rest of your life. And that's something that I love. I'll never forget, as my dad and I were about to walk out during my wedding, he looked at me, he started to cry, and he said, "This is why I wanted you to go to that school. Look at all your friends. Look at how close you guys still are. This is what I wanted for you." And those friendships still go to this day. So look forward to answering any questions. I'm going to pass the virtual mic on to Sheila Bogan from Packer Collegiate.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sheila Bogan. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management and Financial Aid at Packer. Packer is located in Brooklyn Heights, so we are the Brooklyn Borough representative here. We are pre-K 3 through 12th grade, about 1,080 students, all gender. Our big entry points are really kindergarten and 9th grade, a small entry point at 5th grade, which also starts our middle school, and then a pretty small pre-K 3 entry point as well. The big ones are K and 9. Look, my colleagues have basically said it all. So when you get to this phase, it's a little strange to keep talking, as all of our schools obviously offer pretty robust programming. Some things that are, I think, interesting at Packer, we have in the high school specifically, we have a 3-year independent science research program that's really pretty incredible. They're working in labs for 2 years doing original research, which is really incredible. Some of those kids just presented and they're actually getting published in medical journals with their mentors. So that's been really cool to see. I think Packer's a really balanced place. We're not like just a sports school or just an arts school. I think we're really balanced. And I think that's the word a lot of people use to describe us in our community, which I'm really proud of. I think our seniors, this is their sort of last week where they graduate next week. And I've been talking to a bunch of them, and that's what they're saying to me is, I'm so glad I tried everything. And that's a theme that we hear. But opposite side of that science research, we started a 3-year journalism program. So again, that balance is huge for us. We start a laptop program in 5th grade. So we give kids the technology. They get a MacBook in 5th grade all the way up through high school. Depends on the class, how much you're using it. But our kids are being taught to use it properly, which is nice. We have a really robust health and wellness program at Packer, and that is, I think, a signature thing of ours now. We do health literally every single year, K through 12, except for 11th grade. We give them a little bit of a break once they start the college process, so they don't have to take health then, but it's a really robust program, and we have a really large health and wellness team, which we're really proud of. That is something for us. If you can't be your authentic best self, then you're not going to show up in the classroom or on the field or on the stage the way we hope you would. So for us, it's really important to make sure that the whole child is really feeling good and seen and welcomed. So that's a really big part of our program as well. Obviously, check out our website and come visit. We would love to have you in Brooklyn, but I'm going to hand it off to Jenna now.
Thank you. It's wonderful hearing about all of my colleagues' schools, and I hope that those who are listening in the audience are enjoying hearing about the breadth of offerings that are available to you. My name is Jenna King. I'm the Associate Head of School for External Affairs at Riverdale. I've been here for 21 years, and in addition to overseeing admissions here, I also have the pleasure of being a parent of 3 kids here, 2 in 7th grade and 1 in 9th grade. Down the street from Jason's 9th grader. We have about 1,300 students in pre-K through 12th grade. We're an all-gender school that expands at grades 6, 7, and 9, adding to the lovely group that's already here in our lower school. And as kids come into middle school, they shift from one campus close to the Hudson River to our middle and upper school campus, another 19.5 acres overlooking Van Cortlandt Park, right up the street from Horace Mann and Fieldston. In our upper school, we have about 135 to 140 students per grade, and our average class size is about 16 students. I heard my colleagues talking a lot about balance, and I would say if Sheila's balanced in Brooklyn, I would love to say we're balanced in the Bronx here at Riverdale. We talk a lot about mind, character, and community, and I would describe our academic program as one that is a high challenge, high support experience where we will put a lot of emphasis on experiential and interdisciplinary learning and really focus on teaching students how to think and how to learn. And we complement that with emphasis on character and really helping kids through experiences develop things like empathy and kindness and respect for others. We really are proud of the diversity of our community and focus a lot on creating a sense of belonging for all of our new students, families, anyone who's here. And I would say I was just sitting down. We have our seniors' last day of school today, and I was sitting down with some senior parents this morning. They wanted to come onto campus and take a sneak peek as they watched their final kid get ready to graduate. And they were just talking about how Riverdale kids really are kind, thoughtful kids who get involved, and that they're 2 very different kids who are an artist and an athlete as defined by them. Really, we're both served very well here, and I think it's a place where we have lots of different opportunities for different types of kids. So I'll pause there as you have heard a lot about our great schools, and I'll pass it off to Smart City Kids and Roxana.
Thank you, Jenna. So I'm going to get started with some of the most common questions that I get asked and my team gets asked in our meetings with families. And that is that they want to understand your algorithm, right? They believe all of their children are amazing, right? Intelligent, exceptional humans who bring so much to the table, and they've nurtured them so well. They are not sure how you come to the decision of choosing from these incredible humans that they've created. What's the algorithm? Like, they want to know, like, what percentage is testing? What percentage is their extracurricular? What percentage is the parent or student interview? They want to understand it in percentages, some of these folks, right? They bring their finance stuff into this. I know it doesn't work that way, but it's nice that I don't have to answer this question, so I'm going to turn it to you. What's the algorithm for figuring out which one to choose? Go ahead, Sheila H.
So first of all, Roxana, you said all of these parents feel their kids are fantastic and all these things. And the great thing is I think I'm speaking for all of us, they are, right? Every kid who walks into each of our application processes and walks in our doors has so much to give. And at the same time as admissions, we know our school well, we have a process, and we're trying to find the kids that are the best fit for our curriculum and our program as we see it right now based on the application process, which gives us a lot of insight. And we ask a lot of questions. That's why we have you do so much work, because we usually want some sort of 360 about your kid. And also, of course, any application process can't fully encapsulate the greatness of a kid or their potential. We have to own that we can't know everything, but we're trying to figure out the right fit. And then also on top of that, there are always going to be pieces that are outside of that student, even how great they are fit for our school. How many spots do you have? Is your school focused on gender balance? Or Rachel might come across a student who would be a great fit for Sacred Heart, but you know what? They are a male identified student. And that is the thing that's going to make it not work, even if they have the brains and the heart and all those other things to go in. I just want to own that when a family gets a rejection or a waitlist letter, it's not because their child isn't worthy. It's just that this time, this year, for this school, this is not going to work, or it's not going to work yet. So I just want to put that out there. And then as far as the rubric, the percentages, and I know for the math people, for us, we don't have a strict rubric. We're doing a holistic review. I know some people might have a strict rubric and say this percentage of your GPA. We also have a small enough pool. It's robust. We have a small enough pool, a lot of hands on deck through our admissions office and our faculty and our members of the committee to give every file a thorough review. So we are really reading everything that's going into every file. We have a comprehensive list of things we're asking you for that's different at each grade level. And we are having multiple people read each file and then a larger group discuss each file to try to figure out that fit. And then again, beyond that, then we might say we have 10 kids that we love applying for 8th grade, but we've got 2 spots. So we can only take 2 of those. I want to say for every family, go at the application process, go for the schools that you want, work your hardest and put your best foot forward. And then I would like to say trust the process, but I know that not everyone ends up with the outcome they want. Hope for the process that things will work out and be good players, and also communicate with us if you do end up getting on a wait list to let us know that you're interested, because I know that can be disappointing and it can just be a thing of we don't have the spot right now. But I don't have an exact rubric other than say put your best foot forward. We are looking for students that are academically capable and have a record of that through their transcripts, through their teacher recommendations, that show us potential through their test scores, that come in and are students that we enjoy speaking to in different ways, and families that feel like they understand our values and are good matches. But also, I don't have a percentage on how that works out.
Thank you. I think the Sheilas want to have this question because Sheila B is in it.
I was going to just talk about the committee process because I think I'm going to speak for my colleagues, but then Sheila HR stole that side too. But I will just say all of us do have admissions committees and they're based in the divisions that we're working with. So for high school, I will have people from around the high school, whether it's the division head, the school counselor, the learning specialist, the dean. So there are people that are made up in our admissions committee that see kids in different ways than we do once they get on our campuses. And that is super helpful, obviously, because whoever we take in, we can think they're amazing all we want, but whoever we take in, we're handing them off to those folks, right? And so there has to be complete buy-in from our admissions committees. So I just want to point out that I too do not have a rubric in that way. I think I speak for my colleagues on this too. Like, it is pretty holistic. There's lots of data points that we use to make sure a family and a student is a good match for our school. But I did just want to highlight the committee piece because that is a big part of this.
Jenna, you want to jump in?
I agree with the Sheilas. I just saw that there's a question in the Q&A. Want me to tie that into this?
Do you want me to ask the question?
No worries.
Okay. So the question that Jenna jumped in on is from an anonymous attendee. Curious how schools handle IEPs and support with those who have IEPs for things like ADHD. I've heard mixed things around how that is handled in different schools and how it affects admissions. This is actually really popular, and it was one of the questions that I almost fielded for the group, so I think we're getting an early start on this. Jenna?
Okay, jumped in and thought it is somewhat linked to this because I think it is an interesting question, and I think families always want to understand how that does play in. We are legally not allowed to ask for any sort of documentation regarding learning differences or academic profiles. outside of the regular recommendations that we ask of all applicants. And I think to both of the Sheila's point, we are trying to ensure that your child will be served well at our school. And often the way I handle that kind of situation, if someone says, oh, my child has an IEP, can you meet their needs? We try to have you connect with folks in our learning support team separate from the admissions process, but try to do that for you early on as you start on the admissions process so that they can tell you how we can be supported. And they don't typically follow up with us and say, oh, I think this child can be supported here or this one can't. We have you have that conversation so you can discuss with someone who's not involved in the admissions process. And then you can come here. You can go through the admissions process or not based on what you learn from that conversation. I think the most important thing is that you get your questions answered about whether or not our schools can serve your child. And to what the Sheila said, it is about fit. And getting into a school is one thing, but then you have to go there and experience it. And we want you to do that in a place where you feel entirely both supported and challenged in the right ways. And we encourage you to be upfront about asking those questions early on in the process. I actually think it very much ties to the fit piece.
Without question. Thank you for answering that. I want to pivot a little bit to ask a slightly different question, which is all related to admissions, which often comes up again. Is there such a thing as a feeder system into the middle and high school admissions process? Are public school students at any kind of disadvantage in that potential feeder system? I see Jason and Camila.
I think I could probably speak for all of us. Absolutely not. There are no feeder schools. Of course, there are neighborhood-related type of things that may be misconstrued as that. We may get more applicants from certain schools that may be closer to us, that type of thing, but absolutely not. There is no feeder school. All of us get applications from all over the city, and there is no preference whatsoever amongst when we're going through making our decisions. We enjoy reading every single file. I love getting applicants from schools we've never received applications from. The list of schools that we do receive applications from is vast and wide and deep and across from the country and sometimes the world. So that is an absolute myth that needs to be busted. That is not true at all. Jason?
You want to add?
I would agree. So just in terms of our middle division at Horace Mann, sixth grade is our main entry point. We typically have about 55 to 60 new kids joining us. In any given year, 60 to 65% of those kids will be coming from public school. So that's the first thing. As you take a look at our other entry points, whether you're talking about threes, pre-K, kindergarten, sixth grade, smaller entry point is seventh, ninth grade. Ninth grade is an example where we have about 40, 45 new kids. We have kids coming from 25 different schools. Okay. So no, you don't have to worry. Oh no. What if my kid didn't go to this school? We do our best to get to know all of the schools that our applicant pool might be coming from. That way we have an understanding of, oh, what does this grade mean here? What does this activity mean here? What's the situation of this family? That way we have a better understanding that every school offers the same thing, that every school is the same. But we love the fact, and I'm going to speak for my colleagues here, we love the fact that we get kids from different types of schools. It adds to the rich tapestry of our own school.
Thank you. I'm going to probably ask one more admissions related question before I pivot to other kinds of questions. And that is, okay, we're talking about middle school and high school admissions. Why are you guys still asking questions in essays and interviews? Why are you still meeting parents? What's that about? Rachel?
I think I speak for most of us here in thinking about family fit is super important when we're thinking about, will your child be successful? We want to be on the same page. We all want to be in support of your child's success. So getting to know your family is really important. And we can also say pretty fairly that there will be a bump in the road at some stage. It is not if, it is when. And that bump in the road could be little, it could be social, it could be academic, it could be all sorts of things. And what we want to do is partner with parents to make sure that the child is successful and gets the support they may need, or their situation is resolved. So what we want to make sure is that parents are on the same page as the school. We're going to have a relationship for 6 years or 4 years, whatever it may be, and we want to be in partnership with you. So for us, getting to know families is extremely important. I also think while middle and upper school, there is a student portion of the decision, a lot of it has to be about the parents and do they believe that this is also the right school for not only their child, but for their family as well. So I think giving parents the opportunity to ask questions as well is really important. You may have questions about your family specifically, and we want to be able to provide that opportunity to answer those questions as well. Sheila, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, you said that beautifully, so thank you. I just want to add that most of our schools are not the kinds of place where we expect you to just drop off your kid day one and then pick them up at graduation. We want to see you in the building, right? Like we have, I'll speak for Packer, it feels like there are 7,000 events for parents each year, and they're all optional, of course, but we offer things because we want you to feel like you're also a part of this community. For us, it's a big deal. We don't interview the parents, but we just want to have a chat, right? We just want to feel it out. How's this going? And it is, again, for ninth grade, it's obviously much more the kid making the decision at that point. And the parents have to be on board with that. You're the ones getting the bills, so you need to be on board with it. But I think our schools are all very community oriented, and we just want you to feel comfortable coming to our school and working with the folks that are working with your kids every day.
Talking about bills, tuition, it's high. And this is a question that I ask now more often because it keeps coming up for me as well, which is we're talking numbers like 60, 65,000 more. What's the value proposition? Why not go to a public school or leave New York? No, don't leave New York, guys. Don't leave me. But what's the value proposition? Who wants to answer?
Sure, happy to jump in. I think obviously you have to make the choice that's right for your family and your family's finances and all of that. I'm a public school grad. I certainly have lots of positive things to say about public school. And I will say that as a parent of Riverdale students, I think what you're getting out of the experience is that high support part that goes along with the high challenge. And I think it's being part of a community where you have teachers who are constantly looking at what they're doing and ensuring that what they're doing with students is the most up to date and what they need, and constantly rethinking curriculum based on the students in front of them and that are coming into the school. I think there's just that flexibility to be able to shift curriculum as we deem wise for our students. So I think that's one big part of it. I think it's the community that you're choosing, that you're able to, both from a family and student perspective, be exposed to people who are similar to and different from you. And I can say in my own public school experience growing up, that wasn't always the case. And I think we're very intentional communities and we're offering a lot beyond what's offered in the classroom. I think it's the co-curricular experience and opportunities and just the other travel opportunities and the service opportunities and really that individualized experience that I know was not part of my own personal high school education. And so I think we are really curating, for lack of a better word, experiences for kids and families. And I think that's something that does cost money. Maintaining a campus like ours does cost money, and yet I think it's a valuable part of the education. All of that being said, I think we firmly believe that every family has to do what's right for them. And I think it's a great idea to consider many different options as you engage in this process and really take the time to think about why you're making the decisions you're making for your family.
Thank you. Jason?
It's funny, I used to be a lot more humble about this answer to this question before my younger daughter went to public school. Because of her birthday ranges and kindergarten, stuff like that, she wound up having to go to public school first and then redid kindergarten at Horace Mann. My daughter went to one of the best public schools in the city. And when I tell you that it didn't even compare close to what she got at Horace Mann, I'm probably underselling it. The experience is completely different. And when I say these public school teachers were giving it everything they could, because they were, and she had great teachers. But when you have the comparison of in kindergarten, 20 kids in a class in comparison to 33 kids in a class. And as you keep going with 33 kids in a class, you get the comparison in middle and upper to 15, 16 kids on average in a class to 33 kids in a class. You can't beat that. I literally just had a check-in for my younger daughter. Her teacher called me just to do an end-of-the-year check-in. It's not a parent-teacher conference. Just to, hey, the year's coming to a close. God, we love Alexis. These are the things she's really doing well at. I got a chance to see all the things that my older daughter is doing. And yes, she came to the high school with some interests already. She already loved theater. She already loved dance, but she had never fenced in her entire life. Decided to go out with the girls' fencing team. Okay, once again, never picked up a sword. She was part of the fencing team's girls' state championship team. She got a chance to do that, having never did it. So the opportunity to do new things at independent schools also, it's not something you necessarily get to do at public schools. So no, it's worth it. And I understand everyone working very hard and sacrificing the way your children could have this opportunity. I'm telling you, from someone that's seen either side, it is worth it.
I'm just going to add two things. One, I absolutely agree with everything that everybody has said so far about this. And it is astounding how much the tuitions have gone up. And I don't see them going down. I think they will continue to go up. And I think you'll hear from all of us also that the tuition actually does not cover the expense of educating a single student. And so unfortunately, when you come to an independent school, you're actually also going to be asked to give money. And we might be surprised by that, but that is the reality of the situation. We all want to support our teachers to our best of our ability, and they deserve to earn quadruple what they are paid for what they do. But on top of that, the faculty at all of our schools have chosen to teach at independent schools. And part of that opportunity are the relationships they build with each other and with their students that carry on for division upon division and way after that. So there are many reasons why the tuition is so high. Of course, insurance, we're all in these beautiful locations that cost money. But I promise you also that the board and the administration pay very careful attention and know that it is a big price to pay for your education. But I believe we all think it's absolutely worth it.
I think I'm going to just say this and then get to the next question because a question popped up in our Q&A. I just want to remind everyone that every one of these schools is committed to economic diversity. And as a result, every one of these schools offer financial aid to families who need it. And if you look at any application, you'll see a section that says, check it off if you need financial aid. And we always recommend that families ask and request for financial aid as they apply, not after. And so avail yourselves of the opportunity to have access to these wonderful schools by requesting for financial aid if that's a situation that you find yourselves in. To that, and we have a question in the chat room that asks, can you talk about how financial aid considerations tie to the selection process? This is often one of those. Is it a separate application pool? And what percentage of the incoming ninth grade class are typically recipients of financial aid for each of the respective schools? Now, we're not going to ask each and every one of you because that's going to take up a lot of time. But if two of you could just raise your hand.
Yeah, financial aid. And I think all of us have this commitment, as you said, to financial aid. And all of us, I think, also want to say that financial aid also covers a lot of what your experience is when you're at the school. It's not just in tuition. It is in experience as well. At Sacred Heart, we cover travel, uniform, technology, all parts of a Sacred Heart education so that you can participate in everything. And so it's a consideration if you're thinking about financial aid. It's oftentimes not just about tuition. When we consider financial aid, we look at applicants first, and we look at qualification and match and fit and everything that we've talked about today. If you are applying for financial aid and your child is qualified and there's a commitment there, it does not impact whether we accept them or not. I will say the only thing that can impact an application is if we don't have sufficient funding for everyone we would like to take. And sometimes that does happen. And personally, I always have more students who are requesting financial aid that I would love to admit than I have a budget for. So there is some restriction in that respect. But as far as reviewing your application, it does not affect your application. So we really do encourage you to apply. And oftentimes, I think that people think they just don't qualify. And I want to let you know that the parameters around financial aid are different for every single school. And I'm sure everyone here has their own kind of calculation on how that happens. We think really carefully about students who need financial aid in all areas. We do not have a cap on it. So we offer up to 99% financial aid on tuition, but we obviously cannot give that to everyone. So we really look at a range of financial aid applications and what we're able to sustain. So I encourage people to put in a financial aid application because I think it won't affect your application for your child. Sometimes we have to say we would love your child to come and you don't qualify for aid, and that's something that we would do also. And that's not always great news when you get that, but sometimes that's a reality of the situation. So I encourage it. We use a system called Clarity. They're wonderful. It's very fast. It's a 20-minute application. It's not hours. You don't have to scan in documents or anything like that. So it is a fairly accessible process.
Thank you, Rachel. Sheila, you want to add?
Yeah, I would add that every school, like Rachel, at each of my grade entry points, I will have more students that are wonderful fits for our school. We'd like to extend admission to, perhaps. Then we will have spots, and also that we will have financial aid for. So I talked a little bit about coming out of committee and how we might massage the usually large number of students who we think would really be wonderful at additions to Hackley and figure out who we're actually able to offer admission to. One thing between schools is, I would say, at that point, financial aid may be handled differently at different schools. Some schools are going to admit students and offer them like a wait list for financial aid. Roxana, you're amazing. We'd love to have you. We don't have the financial aid yet. We might later. We're letting you know that status. Other schools will waitlist students and say, we're just going to waitlist you until we can offer you both a spot and financial aid. And you may not know where that is exactly. They're a little more obscured in that decision. So that will affect in that way. I don't think many schools are going in and saying, here's our pool of families that need financial aid, and here's our pool of families who don't. Let's have completely different criteria, completely different processes. But at the end of the process, many of us simply have not enough financial aid for all of the students that we could admit, but also many of us are in a position where we don't have enough spots for all of the students that we could admit. And so that's where some of the trickiness can come in. I always tell families that are looking at financial aid or even are interested, they're not even sure if they would qualify, to cast a wide net. Just think, we are such a small percentage of our colleagues, and we're telling you amazing things about our schools. So there's even more great schools. So I always encourage you, apply to multiple schools, and that just gives you more opportunities to both be admitted and to receive financial aid, and not just financial aid, but the financial aid that you hope to receive. You have more opportunities. And we are all accustomed to sometimes great kids will say no to us and will choose other schools. And if that's the position you're in, you have 6 amazing letters of admission and 5 amazing financial aid awards. You can make some kids on the wait list very happy at the schools that you say no to.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a question, and then there's another question that came up in the chat room. How are you handling AI and ChatGPT and the impact that it has on students in your schools? How do you handle devices? Are they banned? What are you doing to make your schools places of learning and keeping out social device aspects during the school day? This is actually a question that was asked in our previous panel and we didn't get to ask. So I'm putting it out there for you.
At Packer this year, the kids in the high school do not have their phones during the day. They get them back at lunch because we are a city school in that way where kids can go out for lunch. So we want them to feel safe and be able to do that. So they get them back at lunch, and then there's one class after lunch, which is a long block, and teachers just have a box in the front of the classroom. Kids can put their phones in there, and they do have laptops because we're a laptop school. Again, it depends on the teacher, depends on the class, how often they're using those. So they're not completely shut out from technology all day. They do have their laptops, but they do not have phones. And I will say for us, we actually worked with student council to make that policy, because we wanted kids to buy into it more than just the administration saying, you don't get your phones. Middle school, they do not have their phones all day, watches, phones. They are kept until the end of the day in the middle school office. Obviously, if any kid feels like they have to reach out to a parent or someone, they go to the middle school office and they ask if they can grab their phone. No big deal. So that's how we are operating. And the AI thing, we've been doing a lot of training for our teachers, bringing in outside folks, and then those teachers are then disseminating that kind of information in their classrooms. We are not stupid. We know kids are obviously on board with this. So we just want to do it in a way that's make sure they're making good decisions with it and teaching them how to use it versus don't use it at all. And some teachers will say on this assignment, you can certainly use AI for XYZ, but not this part. So they're very clear in classes about what can be used and what can't.
I think it's quite similar. I will just say we have a heads up policy at school this year, and so similar to what Sheila said. I think I'll just speak to the AI front. We've come up with an AI policy, and I think that's fine, but I think what's more exciting on that front is just thinking about the possible positive uses of AI. And so we're spending a lot of time working with parents and alumni who are working intensely in that space and who are giving us feedback on how we might effectively incorporate AI into our curriculum. And I think it's something that we recognize we can't hide from, but it's also something that we want to, just like everything else, teach kids how to use it as a tool. And I think that's something that we are continuing to evaluate. Just like I was saying earlier, we're constantly looking at our curricula and trying to ensure that they remain relevant as the collective kids' needs change. And so this is just another part of that.
Great. So, question in the chat was, while I understand that the admissions process is a holistic review, they didn't buy your answers, you guys. Can you please speak to the weight that the test scores are given in your review process? Because I understand that it's not the same at all schools, especially where the test scores are strong in some sections, but not at all.
So here's the deal. For those of us who do require testing, it's not the only thing that we look at. And a lot of times it's not the first thing that we look at. Now, I'm not going to say that it's not important, because if it wasn't important, we wouldn't require it. We require it because we want to get an outside sense. Because as I said earlier, it's funny, it ties to an earlier answer. Every school is different and every kid is coming from a different place. So first rule of thumb is do no harm. We want to make sure that, hey, a student is capable enough to handle the rigor that might be required at our different programs, okay? And that doesn't mean that we also won't take a chance. That doesn't mean that we won't say, hey, what are we doing here? But that test gives us the necessary information to see where we might need to do some scaffolding, where we might need the help, where we might need the support with a current student, okay? And that's something that is very important. For us at Horace Mann, we look at the grades and the interview. Those are the first things we tend to look at when we're reading, when we're talking about a kid. And yeah, the test scores do come right after that for us, okay? It is holistic, but, and this is very important, you want your child to be in a place that is the right fit. And let's say you are shooting for the top. If your child's test scores are not necessarily there, you want to have an understanding of how much work they might have to put in order to make it at best. You heard me say earlier, 93 different clubs, 61 different teams, 27 different publications. If your child is not equipped to handle the academic rigor or workload, they won't really be able to enjoy all of those things. You asked us, hey, is it holistic? That learning experience is holistic too, but it's holistic if the child can do the work, the way they can take advantage of the other opportunities.
Thank you. I'm going to try to rapid fire some questions that came in very late, and hopefully we could answer very quickly. How do you advise people who are undecided in terms of applying to independent schools at kindergarten versus middle school versus high school age?
Jump in. I think the more of an experience that you get at any of our schools, the better. I think that also gives us more opportunities to better prepare your child for the next step. If you're in our 4th and 5th grade, you're going to be very well prepared for our 6th grade and we'll know all the expectations, versus if you're at another school and you have that opportunity to stay there. I would say almost always we have students continue on even when there are moments of struggle. And as Rachel said earlier, there will be bumps in the road. That is part of life. So I would say if it would really just all things equal, I would say come earlier and have that full long experience, get to be a lifer, get to be a student who's getting to be at middle and upper school. But I also know that things aren't all equal. So you have to think about all of those other factors that come in for you the commute, the costs, the having 2 children at different schools, whatever else is coming in for your thought process and think about what makes the most sense. But if all things were being equal, it's wonderful to have 13 years. It's wonderful for us who are adults in the school to watch your children grow up for the whole part of their journey. And so we'd love to be able to share that with families when it's right.
The next question is, do the schools coordinate sending admissions decisions and deadlines for accepting offers at the same time?
I would love to take this one. So
Okay.
most schools are a part of a group called ISAGNI, which is the admission group in New York. And we do streamline things as much as possible, including the dates of when people are sending decisions. The schools that are not a part of ISAGNI try to align as closely as possible to those dates, but they are not exactly on that date's timeline. So you have to be aware of that. Again, most of the schools will be the same dates, same notification dates, same reply dates, but some schools that are not a part of ISAGNI are slightly differ from that. So you just need to be aware of that when you're applying.
Thank you. Quickly, if a family only applies to one school, is that something that is known during the application process? And does that impact admissions decisions?
Don't only apply to one school unless you have a lot of backups, and you should probably speak to Roxana about that strategy. So I would say a couple more than one school is probably a good idea.
That being said, we won't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't
We
speak
don't
to each
all
other
call
about
each other and have a big mafia-like commission meeting and go through
You
things.
don't?
Doesn't happen. We don't. I know, it's crazy.
Or there was like a
Crazy.
cigar room where you guys all
Right.
sit down and talk.
But really quickly, quick rule of thumb. If you're not applying for aid, 4 to 6 schools. If you're applying it, it's 6 to 8 schools.
Great. And then lastly, what tips do you have for students this summer as they prepare to apply for high school in the fall? What should they be thinking about and working on?
Enjoy the summer, first and foremost. Do not spend too much time worrying about this, students especially. Certainly take a look at some of the websites, but everything can be accomplished from the minute school starts until our application deadlines. That said, if it helps students get prepared for this in terms of just thinking about what an interview may be like, thinking about what their next course load is going to be, what they may be excited about, how they'd like to present themselves in an interview setting, that's wonderful. But I think first and foremost, enjoy the summer, be a 7th grader, be a 4th grader, be a 5th grader. Don't think too much about it. It can all happen. Be you. Just be authentic to who you are, and this will all work out.
Thank you. This was an incredible panel. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to all of you who attended. We'd love to hear more from you. And if you have any questions, please share it. I'll try to share it with the panelists to see if they could give us some answers. Thank you again.